Good evening. Please rise for a pledge to our flag. Remain standing for a moment of silence for all military personnel serving here and abroad. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
Notice requirements of the open public meeting law have been satisfied concerning this meeting. I will distribute this for our letter published in notice on December 10th, 2021. A copy of the schedule is posted on the municipal bulletin board and should be so noted in the minutes of this meeting. Councilman Stiller, Councilwoman Meehan, Councilman Patel, Councilman Anderson, Councilman De Jesus, Councilman Small,
Here.
Councilwoman McAuliffe,
Here.
Vice President Ficarra,
Here.
and President Bauer. Here. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from June 21st, 2022?
Motion. Second.
Any comments, questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Beginning with the second reading ordinances, we're going to take letter A first, which is the second reading on an ordinance amending chapter 150 of the the land use ordinances of the Township of Woodbridge, and this is with regards to the definition of restaurants. Going to get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on the second and third reading and the public hearing be open.
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter A only.
Good evening, Tom Maris, Sport, New Jersey. Take a moment. I hope everybody had a very happy and healthy 4th of July weekend. On that Ordinance A, can you explain what that change entails?
It's referring to outside restaurant dining, making it acceptable use by going through the proper channels through the boards.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on letter A only? Here are no other questions. Can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Letter B is an ordinance amending Chapter 28 entitled Administration of the Revised Ordinance of the Township of Woodbridge. This is with regards to fingerprinting fees. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading?
Motion.
Public hearing be open.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter B only. Here, no comment from the public. Can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Letter C is an ordinance of the Township of Woodbridge adopting the Metro Park Station redevelopment plan. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing be open?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter C only.
John Bertarek, Woodbridge. On letter C, there was a long time ago talk about the Metro Park. They're supposed to build a certain part of it for the housing development, the more apartments there, what do you call it? Is that part of the ordinance to do this, or this is just something new that we want to, put it together, Metro Park ordinance and the housing?
This is the first time this has been put before the council.
What's the purpose of it?
The state had a whole competitive process for the development of the Eastland Metro Park train station, and this is what they chose. Now it's before the township council. It'll be before the planning board probably in the next 30 days.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on letter C?
Tom Maris, Fords. If you would, could you expand on that? What exactly, you're picking a developer, and what will that development be? You're putting it before the planning board. What are you presenting?
The state of New Jersey, through New Jersey Transit, is presenting residential and retail to the board, to the township, and to the board, as I said, probably in the next 30 days.
Residential, but how large? Can you, apartment?
I believe it's about 200 units, I'm not exactly sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on letter C? Here are no other questions. Got to get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law.
Motion. Second.
Comments or questions? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Letter D is an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of property known as 458 New Brunswick Avenue in the Ford section of the township. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing be open?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Public hearing is now open on letter D only.
Paul Lund, Hope Lawn. Just had a question about what the development will be in Fords. What is the structure?
That's going to be parking for the businesses along the Brunswick Avenue. We were in the process of purchasing this before COVID hit, but due to COVID, the moratorium that the government put on rentals, we're not able to purchase it. With the moratorium being lifted, we're able again to purchase this piece of property for parking for the businesses downtown Fords on the Brunswick Avenue.
How many spaces estimated?
26, right? 26, 28 spaces on 458.
I
think
don't
they're
remember
roughly
exactly.
between 20 and 30.
It's in that neighborhood.
Yeah,
How close to the barber shop, the Made Man?
across the street. That'll definitely help a lot of those businesses downtown with the restricted parking right now. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions on letter D? There are no other questions. Can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We will now take letters E and F, which are first reading ordinances by consent. And E and F, can I get a motion that the ordinance be passed on first reading, published in the Home News Tribune on July 8, 2022, with notice of public hearing to be held on July 19, 2022 at 6 p.m.
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And finally, Mr. President, we have 25 items listed as resolutions 1 through 25. Can I get a motion by consent to approve?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitch. At this time, we'll go to the public portion of our meeting. We're approaching the mic. Please state your name, part of the township, or state you are from. You have a one-time, 5-minute time period. All video taking must be taken within a designated area in the rear of the room, and there'll be no shining from your seat. Please respect each other, and please make sure all signs or posters do not block the walkway aisleways. Thank you.
Anybody from the public have any comment this evening? Hearing no comment.
Good evening, everyone. James Dabrowski, Woodbridge proper. Yesterday on July 4th, the Woodbridge Youth for Liberation and Equity led a reproductive justice march that began and ended right here at Town Hall. We marched up Main Street, immediately noticing that the thin blue line, which was supposedly only painted between the double yellow lines for Police Week back in May, and totally not as a racist Blue Lives Matter response to the Black Lives Matter racial justice movement, is still there right now in July. May was National Mental Health Awareness Month, symbolized by green, and July is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, also symbolized by green. But I sadly wouldn't expect any better from the Woodbridge Mayor John Black Lives Matter is awful McCormick administration at this point. We marched past the headquarters of the New Jersey State PBA, the largest police union in New Jersey, who openly endorsed Donald Trump, our defeated and disgraced ex-president, who openly campaigned on stripping away reproductive rights, and who facilitated and celebrated the Supreme Court's horrific overturning of Roe v. Wade on June 24th, taking our country backwards 50 years. We marched past the Knights of Columbus building, where we saw a large anti-choice sign on display showing white hands holding a white baby with blonde hair. The Knights of Columbus also openly expressed their celebration of the devastating SCOTUS decision and have donated millions of dollars to attack not only reproductive rights, but also same-sex marriage rights, which are also now in danger, as mentioned in a June 24th statement by Metuchen Mayor Jonathan Bush. Woodbridge Mayor John McCormick and Councilman Corey Spiller are both members of the Knights of Columbus, whose fellow members assemble outside our town hall each October to honor the genocidal Christopher Columbus and receive a proclamation from the mayor, who callously refused to even consider replacing the anti-Indigenous Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day. We also marched past the American Women's Services at the American Wellness Center building, which would frighteningly no longer exist if the Knights of Columbus had their way. In fact, you can often find members of the Knights of Columbus and other right-wing activists protesting outside the building, harassing and intimidating women who visit the center. Thankfully, they weren't out there yesterday, and while our march was overwhelmingly met with honks, cheers, waves, and raised fists of support, we did receive a few middle fingers and angry shouts, including from a man with Confederate flags and Trump stickers all over his truck. I've seen this man before actually selling these pro-slavery Confederate flags, anti-black Blue Lives Matter flags, Islamophobic infidel flags, pro-insurrection Trump flags, and other such white supremacist paraphernalia at the Woodbridge Elks Flea Market. On June 27th, on behalf of our Perth Amboy Area Branch NAACP, I emailed the Elks leadership requesting that they take a stand against racism being peddled on their property, just as Urban Edge Properties took a stand against racism being pushed on their property in the Woodbridge Walmart parking lot. Hopefully the Elks will choose to stand with our area's oldest civil rights organization, unlike this administration who inexcusably refused to stand with us as we denounce the Proud Boys terrorist hate group targeting our community. Which brings us to a very important question this evening. On June 24th, the NAACP issued a statement condemning the Supreme Court's egregious assault on basic human rights. Elected and appointed officials at all levels throughout the state of New Jersey, including Assembly Speaker Craig Hoffman with us tonight, have been issuing statements and speaking up to let their frightened constituents know that this attack on reproductive rights is not okay. But we haven't yet heard a word from our Woodbridge leaders. Will this administration please find the conscience and courage to stand against this alarming attack on reproductive rights? While you think about your answer, please allow this June 25th statement from East Orange Mayor Ted Green to inspire you. The U.S. Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade, which had been upheld for nearly half a century, is deeply disturbing and an abomination toward womankind and society as a whole. In communities where people of color and marginalized groups suffer maternal mortality rates disproportionately, this is a devastating blow to their constitutional rights and will increase health risks exponentially, yielding poor physical, psychological, and financial outcomes. This decision is absolutely unacceptable on the highest of levels. Our women are the backbone of our communities, and the choice for reproduction should always lie within them and not in the hands of the law. Reproductive choice is a fundamental right, and the court's decision in one fateful moment rolls back years of human justice. For the millions of American women in nearly half the states across the nation who will be directly impacted, we empathize with you. In no true democracy should access to abortion depend on where someone lives. Never. Council President Bauer, does our Woodbridge leadership support reproductive rights?
Anybody have a comment on that? Thank you, Mr. Tabasco.
I'll wait another moment.
No comment at this time, thank you.
Your silence sadly answers the question. What a shame, but sadly not surprising at all.
Thank you.
Justice for Nigeria Parks, justice for Jeremiah Daniels Porter,
Thank you.
Black Lives Matter, stop the power
Thank
plant.
you. Your time is up.
Reproductive
Thank
rights
you.
are human rights.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the public this evening?
Tom Maris, Fort New Jersey. Once again, we subject to a long diatribe of BS. If they knew anything about the Constitution, our Supreme Court ruled according to constitutional law. To put back into the hands of the states and the individual states' rights to make that determination. This council has no power over that and couldn't act on it even if they wanted to. And we have an abortion clinic right up the street. Nobody's stopping it from operating. So obviously, it's de facto, it's there. I don't know what his complaint is. New Jersey is allowing it. I'm not going to waste any more time on this BS. I am going to follow up on, and I did speak to the Board of Education at their last meeting. They're saying they still haven't made a decision as to whether they are or not going to sell the parking lot at the Ross Street School. And yet I know this administration is going forward with plans to build 94 units over there, to build a parking garage, which would be critical to the residents if that was apartments were to be erected. I'd like to know where the administration stands in notifying the Board of Education that it's pretty much a fait accompli, unless they have the backbone over there to stand up and say, no, we're not going to let 94 units be built on school property, which is valued at least by one appraisal at $500,000. Fortunately, we've had a lot of robberies and car hijackings, and I think everybody knows I'm a big supporter of our police department. They do an outstanding job, and they are certified. They're a great department. Are they perfect? No department is, but they're damn good. But that said, I think we can do a lot better. We have a lot of increase in cost now because of inflation. Gasoline being one of them. So it takes a lot of money to keep the patrol cars going. And I'd ask that they would consider putting in local police stations throughout the township where they could be involved in the community at a much closer level, respond much closer, and adjunct to that, more cameras on certain areas of the town, more cameras on traffic lights so that they can be checked coming and going, and perhaps the inclusion and further use of drones during day and night for surveillance to respond and maybe track things faster than they could with vehicular chases, if they're even allowed, because there's prohibitions of going into high-speed chases. And that's it. Those are my questions. I'll leave it there.
Mayor, any comments on the parking lot?
The board will make their decision in direct negotiation with the developer. I have not had any conversation with the board lately or the developer lately on that aspect of the project.
Does that answer your question, Mr.?
It does on that, yeah. I'll refer it to the board, who keeps referring it back kind of over here, saying that they haven't made any determination on it. But at some point in time, something has to be done because two other projects are tied into that as well, with the parking lot and the beauty salon, the new apartments going here, which I think is 72 or 74 units. So it's kind of both critical. Again, any comments on perhaps at least looking into the viability of localizing the police department into our communities? They could interface a lot more with the community, get a lot more respect. The community gets to know our police department better, and also the cost savings.
Well, there's certainly a cost to putting more infrastructure out. We'd have to rent property or buy property and build buildings. Right now, we have not looked at that. We're not interested in that, and beyond that, I wouldn't comment on what we're doing for law enforcement or for crime prevention. That's confidential.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments this evening from the public?
Excuse me, are you videotaping over there with your phone, Mr. Dabrowski?
No, I have my timer on. I forgot to take
All right,
that.
thank you. So you know, if any videotaping has to be taken from the back, behind the blue area marked off. Thank you.
Evening, Paul Lund, Hope Lawn. Just to piggyback, I had talked to someone a couple of years ago who said that it used to be a policy of community policing, where beat cops and getting closer to the community that way without building infrastructure. And we've gotten away from that. So one of my questions would be, is it possible, especially as we do all this redevelopment, that we return to more of a community policing kind of a approach rather than just responding to calls? And, I don't often see police cars in our neighborhood. We used to have 3 police officers live locally, but I don't often see them. Secondly, I want to just tie back to an earlier meeting. You had mentioned, Mr. Mayor, that there is a difference between national and local politics. Obviously, Tom Maris brought up the fact that abortion, whether you're pro or pro-choice or pro-life, there's not much you can do about it other than make a symbolic statement, which there's no reason for you to do. But I do want to see the distinction. A lot of national Democrats are on board with the Green New Deal, alternative energies. There's an open attack on the fossil fuel industry without any suitable replacement. And I find it interesting that locally we're open and pushing for another power plant. And you mentioned, Mr. Anderson, on the website, they said that opening this power plant would reduce the carbon footprint, taking gas cars off the road. And I'm wondering how opening another power plant would accomplish that. So,
I
have one more question. I don't know if that will take away from
Please, go ahead.
I know a lot of people haven't looked closely at this, but the CDC, I looked at the numbers recently, how many COVID deaths. Of the 73 million youth 18 and under in the United States, it's just over under 1,300 have died in these 2.5 plus years of the pandemic. And that schools, it turns out, weren't locations of super spreading events, that a lot of these severe lockdowns proved to be unnecessary if you compare state results and real scientific data. But I've heard a message recently through Mr. Mayor, the emergency, promoting vaccines for 5-year-olds and under. Even though there's a lot of evidence now that the spike protein of these vaccines, which are for emergency use only, haven't had the 5 to 10 years of usual data to see what the after effects or long-term effects might be, that they've attacked cardiac tissue, reproductive tissue, and certainly with pregnant women have caused sterility. So I don't know if I don't know if you're compelled to promote the vaccines, but for me, it's incompatible with the science. So I would ask.
John, I don't promote vaccines, I just tell people when we have the vaccination clinics.
Thank you.
Mr. Lund, my response was in response to you reading from the website. You read from the website, and I merely pointed out what was on the line below what you read. You read something about how many vehicles it was going to take off the road or something like that, and all I did was point out that there was another line that was below the statement in which you read. So I don't know if you read part of it and neglected to read that other part, but that was all I submitted to you.
I think, Mr. Anderson, if you review the tape, you'll see that that's revisionist of the actual interaction between us. My question stands, do you see the new power plant as a way to actually lower emissions and somehow replace gas vehicles, a certain amount, I think you said at the time?
That is what the company CPV is promoting, all right? That is what they're
How on
promoting.
earth would it?
That is what they're promoting. I'm not saying yes or no to it, all right? I'm not saying yes or no that it does.
Right.
I'm just saying that is what they're saying.
Lastly, I guess since I still have maybe 30 seconds, you had mentioned that you had no trouble talking about the new sex ed curriculum, and you even mentioned the 3 portals of entry when it comes to sex openly. A lot of parents still don't think it's age appropriate at any age to be talking about how to use body parts, and certainly not how to change them on the will or whim of a child whose underdeveloped brain is not in a position to make those kinds of decisions. Where do you stand on
Thank you,
that?
Mr. Lund. Thank you. Are there any other comments this evening from the public?
John Derek Woodbridge. Last school board meeting, I went there, previous meeting before too. At that time, the superintendent of schools said there was a really, really high number of the homeless kids in our schools. And I know previous years, I believe it was 80, 90, that I was made aware of it. And that we do provide schooling for them, busing. Even they move to a motel or hotel, they can register to come do with school. I think it's so great. That's just a great thing to do. Kids are kids. But then last meeting, I said, what happens now the school is out? What happens to those kids? Do they eat? Do they have a place to stay? It kind of worried me and kind of concerned me. I mean, how do we know that those kids are taken care of? And there was talk there was different things the Woodbridge does, this and that. And the young lady came up after the meeting and he said that she's aware of it. They do everything they can do to do this. The Woodbridge is doing this and Woodbridge is doing that. But last winter, I asked a question about homeless people who were male. And like this, Councilman Becerra said, in a blue night, that we take people from the street You take them to, for example, YMCA because they could take better care of them than we do because we have no facilities to do it. So again, are we taking care of the, if they would be just our homeless people, or we have to depend people like in, for example, other towns to do it for us? I'm not really kind of but most important is the children. And I know the parents should take care of the children, but some parents just don't have a capability or what you want to call it. So maybe we can do something extra to look into it, to make sure those young people are not forgotten. Somebody's got to take care of them. Again, back last council meeting on June 21st, I brought it to your attention about trees being cut on 64 Fleetwood Road, and that's brought to my attention. And over here, I asked Mr. Drew, Mayor, everybody else, and they didn't know who lived at 64 Fleetwood Road. Then I asked the Councilwoman Khalifi, does she know? And she said, it is my mother and my father, I believe. And then that was done on a private property. And I guess even Mayor said that, oh, it's not this or that, there's stay out of it, I do have pictures. So I was told by Councilman Bauer to give my pictures to Mr. Mitch, which I did. Give the pictures, and I bring the letter, the mail that I got from an anonymous person that knew about it, the whole situation, 2 different occasions. And again, Councilman Coffey said that she said it was her mother and her father. And I said, you was there? She said, yes, I was there. Why was you there? I was there because they called me, they're cutting the trees. They come to cut the trees. Now the pictures are given to Mr. Mitch. I'm sure you people have a chance to see those pictures. If those pictures are that I said they were on a private property, and you said more than once, we do not do things on a private property.
No, I did not. No, I didn't. You asked specifically, do we do things on private property? And I said specifically that the first 10 feet from the curb line, we have an easement, and we are allowed to go on and take down trees in the first 10 feet that are a danger or that are dying or that are dead.
Right.
And these 2 trees were a danger. They were intertwined with each other. They were intertwined with power lines, and they were right next to a telephone pole that has a transformer on it, which means if that comes down, an entire neighborhood could be knocked out. So
Mayor,
regardless of who
Mayor,
owns this, don't put words in my mouth.
Mayor.
You asked, and you didn't tell us 2 meetings ago, you said, what if this happened? You didn't give us the address, you just said, what would happen? And I specifically explained what I just said. We will enter private property and we will take down a tree that's a danger. And last week we explained this tree was a danger, 2 trees were a danger, and we took them down. You're trying to make this into a political issue because you're running against the councilwoman in November, and that's pathetic.
No, Mayor.
Because her parents followed the law,
Listen.
and they did everything
No,
right,
listen.
and
Don't
they had
listen.
trees
Listen,
that were a
please,
danger next to a
I'm going
transformer,
to Attorney
and we
General.
eliminated that danger.
I'm going to Attorney General to look into it.
Oh, good.
First of all,
Thank you.
Everybody does that.
you are wasting public funds.
Welcome to the crowd.
And how do you
Mr.
do?
Tarek, thank you. Time's up, thank you.
Are there any other comments from the public this evening?
Council President, may I? Since I want to address. Yes?
Hearing, I'm sorry. Hearing no other comments from the public, can I get a motion that the public portion, comment portion be closed?
Motion.
Second.
I'm sorry, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Council President, I didn't want to interrupt anybody's time up there, but Mr. Vitarak was, I believe, referring to code blue in the winter when either the temperature or precipitation or the weather in general causes the county to call the code blue. It's not like we ship our issues to Perth Amboy. The Perth Amboy Community Center is a county designated code blue site. So what we have done is coordinated with them that if someone seeks help on a code blue night, which happens I think 50-something times this past year, our police department will bring those people to the designated site, and if they can, pick them up in the morning and bring them back. because code blue is just to get folks out of the cold at night. If not, we have worked along with our partners to have somebody bring them back. So it's not like we're taking people that are in trouble here in Woodbridge and throwing them over in Perth Amboy. The other thing I found it rather comical because you claimed, Mr. John, that there was no political intention on this, but in the material that you provided us about this issue with the tree, people were writing on that email, "I hope this helps you with your election." So if that's not political, I read that in what you provided to us. So thank you, Councilman.
No comment. Councilman Anderson?
I just wanted to respond to Mr. Lund because his time did run out and I didn't want to use up Mr. Vitarek's time as he approached the mic. Regarding your comment about the standards of comprehensive and sexual health, just to say that every parent has the opportunity to opt out their child, all right? And the standards have been changed, but they've looked at them a little closer in the delivery. So they're to work with their constituents and stakeholders in their towns, and that's something that's supposed to be agreeable upon the board on how they're going to deliver that material to their students. Every town is different. Mr. Tromador came up and talked about every town but Woodbridge, okay? But I can assure you, based on my conversations with some of the board members and also our superintendent here, that we are not only complying with the standards, but the delivery is something that's agreeable from the elected board members of Woodbridge Township. You're welcome.
At this time, we'll go to our agendas. My agenda's in order, and there's a few announcements, statements to make. The 2022 Mayor's Summer Concert Series is in full swing. Concerts are held Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sundays. For more information, go to twp.woodbridge.nj.us. Special thanks to Albert Zassani of Royal Albert's Palace and his crew for sponsoring our 2022 July 4th weekend fireworks. Special thanks to our administration, Woodbridge Police Department, Public Works, CERT team, local fire companies for making this a safe and fun event. That's all I have. Council Vice President Vitarak.
Just a couple of quick things. Over at the community center, the mini golf and batting cages are open now on their summer activities, weather permitting, summer schedule, I should say. There is indoor roller skating, pool membership for outside for Springwood Swim Club in Colonia and Highland Grove over in Ford's, which both of those are absolutely beautiful, by the way, and you can check in at the community center to get more information on that. Senior recreation and programming, the 16th year that Woodbridge is sponsoring the New Jersey Senior Olympics. The date this year is September 9, 10, and 11. Registration goes on until August 26th, and it's for ages 50 and older. That's the age limit. Woodbridge residents get a very significant discount. You can go into 3 sporting events for only $10. That's a $30 savings. And you can go online and register at njseniorolympics.com or call the hotline at 973-618-1111. Under Mayor's Fitness and Wellness, the Woodbridge Pizza Run, which is a 4-mile run, is scheduled for August the 3rd, starting over at Alvin P. Williams Park. Registration is 5:30 to 6:45, and we start at 7. And you could register on CompuScore.com if you just put /WB Pizza. That's CompuScore for those of you that are runners. I'd also like to extend and follow up on Council President with all of the people that help make our fireworks a fun event and safe event. And then one announcement that just came out today, there is a new 988 Lifeline number which will be launched on June the 16th. The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, in partnership with the Federal Communications Department of Veteran Affairs, are moving to a 3-digit dialing code as a way to strengthen and expand the existing National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Again, this is beginning on July 16, 2022. 988 is a step towards a transformed crisis care system in such a way similar to emergency medical services. Again, that's 988, and I just want to read a few of these things so that I get it right and I don't want to make any misstatements. The 988 dialing code will be available nationwide for calls in multi-languages, text or chat. In the chat, it's English only. Until July 16th, the toll-free number is still active, and this is for anyone or any family experiencing mental health or suicide-related crisis, or those helping loved ones through these crises. Again, it is 988. The number of 800-273-8255 will also remain in use, but the 988 number by mid-July, and I think that's very important. Please share that with anyone that you know that might be in crisis. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Small's excused. Councilwoman De Jesus.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is in order. I just have a few announcements. Item number 5, Police Community Relations. I'm happy to announce that the Junior Police Academy begins next week, and it will be held for the next 2 weeks. Both weeks are filled to capacity, and it's a great opportunity for the children participating to build long-lasting relationships and share an experience that they will never forget. And our Woodbridge Police Department invites everyone out to the National Night Out, which will be held Tuesday, August 2nd from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Woodbridge Community Center. Item number 8, the Hispanic Heritage Festival will be held this year on Saturday, September 17th from 12 to 5 right here in front of Town Hall. Item number 9, the Barron Arts Center is hosting the Laura Stewart, the dramatization of American culture, and this is on view from July 1st to August 12th, and it is part of the Alternate Dimensions, exploring the unique perspectives of New Jersey sculptors. This Saturday, July 9th, at the Acacia Youth Center, the Barron Arts Center will hold their flea market from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., and that is at the Acacia Youth Center on Port Reading Avenue. Item number 10, the Free Public Library of Woodbridge. Families that read together succeed together. Visit the main, Island, and 4 libraries or sign up online for a combination of free, in-person, and online enrichment activities, movies, and reading lists with the theme Oceans of Possibilities for all ages. On Thursday, July 14th at 7 p.m., the library will host Beach Nesting Birds, the Birds of the Summer, with Conserve Wildlife Foundation of New Jersey senior biologist Todd Povert, who will explain the latest management strategies to protect piping plovers, least terns, black skimmers, and American oyster catchers. Registration is open also for July computer classes, including how to use Linkit Learning, which offers online step-by-step lessons to learn everything from how to archive family photos to coding and other technical skills. Library computer classes are also available for in-person Microsoft Office skills. Visit woodbridgelibrary.org or call 732-634-4444. That is all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Spiller and Councilwoman Meehan are excused. Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is in order. I do want to wish the Pop Warner organizations, the Woodbridge Broncos, the Port Reading Saints, and the Middlesex Knights luck as their seasons are preparing to take place. They all begin on August 1st. Just ask that the residents in town keep an eye out for them as they're running to and from their cars for practice. For the Woodbridge Broncos, since that is an organization that I'm associated with, you can go on to Facebook and go under group page, Friends and Family of Woodbridge Broncos, and you can get all the registration information there. I also want to commend Principal Short. A few weeks ago, myself, Councilman Spiller, and Councilman Ficara attended Avenel Middle School, where they unveiled a banner in honor of one of their great alum, Eric LeGrand. It was the first time that I ever actually heard Eric tell his story about not only growing up in Woodbridge, but what happened on that day in October of 2010. It's hard not to think of Eric and what he means to so many people and how inspiring he is on how he has kept an outstanding outlook on life. And I encourage others to look into Eric's story and to really live by that, just live by his mantra of finding something positive even when something as negative as that has happened to him. I know that this is a national issue, but it's monumental, and I do feel as though something needs to be said. I am a man, but I felt it necessary to consult one of my friends who is a doctor who happens to be an OBGYN and ask her about her opinion on this. And so she told me, she said, we took a massive step backwards yesterday, and it hits me hard as a provider of women's health care, but even harder as a woman of color. I see the decision to overturn Roe versus Wade as a well-orchestrated maneuver in advance of the systemic racism, classism, and sexism that is the framework of our society. You best believe that this is not about protecting the unborn. Know that when an unintended pregnancy affects one of these conservative enthusiasts of their wife or daughter, that they'll be calling in the favors of to cross state lines to handle this the mishap. The move is about power. It's about control. Sorry. The move is about, I'm sorry, okay. I see the decision to overturn Roe versus Wade as a well-orchestrated maneuver to advance the systemic racism, classism, and sexism that is the framework of our society. You best believe that it is not about protecting the unborn. Know that when an unintended pregnancy affects one of these conservative enthusiasts of the wife or daughter or sister, that they'll be calling in the favors and crossing state lines to handle the mishap. This move is about power, it's about control, it's about keeping marginalized people and less privileged communities in their place in a country that is so big on my rights, my rights, my rights. If you think of COVID, vaccinations, and gun regulation, the two tables certainly turn when it comes to reproductive rights. The fact that in this great nation, women of color are roughly 3 times as likely to die from pregnancy-related causes than white women. So yeah, think about when this is really about, and think about who's most likely to be negatively impacted by this decision. In her opinion, the decision to restrict access to safe abortion services is violation of fundamental human rights, and it's nothing more than a tactic to continue this cycle of poverty, anguish, and racism. We see the same things happening with other rights to come. I felt that it was necessary to address it from my position, but not as just more as a father of daughters, and especially daughters of color, that this reversal of this decision, of this monumental decision, is going to be something that we're going to have to live with, not only in the United States, but in New Jersey. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Patel.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. My agenda is also in order. I have some announcement. This announcement for the residents in Iselin. Iselin residents, please be advised that milling and repaving jobs on North Laurel Avenue and South Walnut Avenue in Iselin will start from tomorrow, Wednesday, July 6th, as a part of the 2022 road resurfacing program. The streets resurfacing jobs are expected to go through Wednesday, July 13th. During this work, the road will be closed to through traffic, but will be open to local traffic and emergency vehicles. The 5 branches senior center, which is located at 1 Brown Avenue in Islin, will have the Taste of Summer luncheon, which is to be held on this Friday, July 8th, from 12 noon till 3 p.m. Also, Oak Tree Senior Center, which is located at 571 Lincoln Highway, Islin, they will have their Hawaiian-themed luncheon, which is called Luau Party, which is to be held on Friday, July 15, from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. You must RSVP calling 732-259-2008 by July 30th to join the luncheon. Payments can be only made by check payable to the Township of Woodbridge. That's all for tonight. Thank you, Council President.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman McCullough.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is in order. I have several things that I just need to go over. First, I would like to thank the Senior Billiards Club for their generous donation to Relay for Life in the name of Nancy Bader Drum. Their annual generosity of this club is greatly appreciated by the Woodbridge Relay for Life team. It helped them with their annual fundraiser. Our local band Thursday concerts are becoming very popular. Stop by Herbert Rankin Park, located in Seawarren on Ferry Street across from Moby Dick's. All concerts start at 7:30. This week, Atlantic Sound Machine will be on the stage, and next week, July 13th, Blame It on Richie will perform. Come out, support your local musicians and Moby Dick's, do a little dancing, grab a bite to eat, and have a drink. Our buy local program is still going on. Our Main Street Special Improvement District continues to offer downtown dollars. Help support our Main Street by purchasing a gift certificate and receive a bonus gift certificate to use for yourself. Log on to Downtown Dollars Woodbridge to see the list of participating retailers and make your purchase. Number 11, the Woodbridge Fire Department is holding their first 2022 Junior Fire Academy graduation event on Friday, July 15th. I would like to give an early congratulations to the individuals who will be graduating from this class. The Seawarren Public Library is running a free summer adventure called Aloha Summer. This is a free 8-week program that starts on July 11th and runs through September 17th. This program is for people of all ages. For more information, stop by the library, which is located at 546 West Avenue in Seawarren, Monday through Friday from 2 to 6, and on Saturday from 10 to 2, or you can log on to the Seawarren through the website at seawarrenlibrary.nj.org. Our Woodbridge Farmers Market has now started last Saturday and will continue through October. Come out and shop between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. for some fresh vegetables and unique items from multiple vendors. The next car show on Main Street will be held on Wednesday, July the 20th, starting at 6 o'clock. Come out and check out some fancy cars and support your local eateries, and you can use your downtown dollars at any one of the retailers on Main Street that night. The Elks. The Elks will be holding a wellness event on July 10th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Garden State Physical Therapy will be giving complimentary services and no appointment is necessary. Finally, I'd like to talk about an event that the Elks is going to be having on July 20th. They'll be hosting a fundraiser for a family, Gloria Mazer-Sorokak and her son Stephen. This will be held at the Woodbridge Elks Lodge 2116 on Norway Avenue from 6 to 9 p.m. Stephen is a man with multiple health issues since birth and has been wheelchair bound for several years. Stephen's family is in dire need of a van with a chairlift. The goal for this fundraiser is to make this happen for this family. You may have seen Stephen around many sporting events in Woodbridge, St. Joe's, and even Rutgers. He's a very huge fan of sports. The Elks would greatly appreciate your support with this fundraiser. All proceeds raised will go directly to the family to help them purchase this van and chairlift. If you'd like to make a donation or come to the event, you can contact Vicki Weber at 908-930-8808, or you can Venmo a donation directly to the Elks at WBGELK KS2116 and specify that the donation is for Stephen's event. Thank you very much, and we appreciate your support at this event. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mitch.
Thank you, Mr. President. My agenda is in order.
Deputy Director Niski.
Thank you, Council President. I have one item on my agenda, and that is the traffic and parking ordinance proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Darden.
Thank you, Council President. Nothing this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Business Administrator Zimbalista.
I have several items tonight I'm covering for recreation. They have a resolution for the 2022 pizza run. For the Health Department, we have a shared services agreement with Milltown for animal control services. Under DPW, we have a proposal for CME Associates for the maintenance of the tax map and the GIS mapping. We have a final change order for a contract for Watson and Crampton Recreational Trail. We have a final change order for a contract for cleaning and television of the RVSA. And we have a final change order for the milling and resurfacing, change order number 1 for a milling and resurfacing program contract. Thank you.
Legal.
Nothing this evening, Council President.
Motion for adjournment.
Motion. Second.
Thank you. Have a good night.